All right, good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
I appreciate you guys coming on time, spending a little part of your day with us. The weather was nice. We got a lot of great stuff today. We got some recognition as well. Just so we know how many chairs we need in the back, if this is your first time here on Saturday, raise your hand. You got a handful. All right. Let's start. We have a few pieces of recognition, I believe. How many do you got? Two. Yeah. Who hired it? Shondel's going to come up and introduce our new teammates.
All right. So, Ahmad, I hired a girl named Rahima from Afghanistan, and I think it's her sister's, her sister's best friend's husband is Ahmad. And so he came out right away, and he used to work with Banker's Life 2 years ago. He didn't actually start working with them, he got licensed right away, and then figured out that he didn't want to do it at that time. So he came back, and was like, hey, I majored in finance, my background's in finance, I'm super excited about getting an investments license and working in the industry again. So came back, got recruited 2 Thursdays ago, went to the class last week, and then took his test yesterday and passed first time. So I'm super excited about mine.
So when you pass 63 and you take both the securities license, now you're what's called fully licensed in Primerica. And I'm very proud of my son for doing this. And I started recruiting 18 and a half years ago. It took a long time for him to get started. He got life licensed in December, right after he got the business license a few weeks ago, passing 63 on Thursday. And I was checking on POL today. Before I bring him up, I just want to say something. There's a big opportunity sitting out there. In all of North America, which is all of Canada, all the United States, all of everything right now, today, on September the 16th, no RV base shop and no hunter RV has more than one new securities license. Nobody. All we got to find is a second, a third, and a fourth for September, and our whole hierarchy would be number one for the entire North America. Okay? In the state of Virginia, there's only one. And that's in this room right now.
She actually was one of my very first clients, so God bless you for bearing with me in the early stages and everything like that. We're able to help them, in their own personal finance, things like that, and it was just a great experience, I think, for them. Also really great for me, too. And, of course, we go back, we see our clients, things like that, and we were sitting together recently, and, I was getting ready to go. She's like, I think that I can do this. I know a lot of people that could really benefit from this. I think I can do this. And I always, secretly was something because I wanted to recruit her from a long time ago. So anyways, the timing was perfect. She also is a mother of 6, homeschooling mother of 6, right? In the Catholic way, right? Just phenomenal. We've done a lot of ministry together, known her many years. And anyway, she's been working really hard, very focused, very dedicated, listening to all, doing all the right things So help me give it up for Therese Rodriguez!
Great job. Six kids came out of you?
Yeah.
You had a surrogate. That's right. You did it. Kim Kardashian style. Thanks for learning. Awesome. You know, I tell people all the time that we're doing the right thing to hire our clients, right? No other financial services company hires their clients because they screw their clients. They always say, hey, Therese, come work with us and we can teach you how we screw you. Right? So what we say is what we've done for you is so unbelievable, let's go share this with other people. Who do you like, who do you care about, who do you think would benefit from this? The information is so valuable, it's so important, it's so relevant to people's financial situation that let's share it with people. And so I love it when I see that we hire a client. So my first licensed person was my older sister. That was my first licensed person. They got licensed with her. And she was a client. And my older sister went to UVA, very smart. She's a role model of mine. And my older sister and I are very close. I mean, like, we're real tight. And I got there, she had a credit card debt. She had a funny mortgage at the time, right? There was a lot of exotic, sexy mortgages going around that were wrong. Interest only, arms, this and that. She had a really terrible mortgage. We were able to help her out, and then she had no private insurance. And so, that was a super win for me, because I was like, man, if my sister, who's educated, college educated, a professional, a mom, is under the gun financially, so to speak, and she's just, loves her kids, loves God, great woman, great wife, but she just doesn't know financially, and then she wants to learn more. And my sister at that time was already making $100,000 a year. It's like, wow, if someone that makes $100,000 doesn't know everything about finance, and we can help them, and then come work with us, that was just a shot in the arm. Adrenaline, man, I can go recruit. So congratulations to everybody. That's another thing too. I know when Robert came up to get his recognition in Perez, a really funny dance. I don't know if that was a dance. That's just the way you practice. Fun. Have fun when you come up here. Oh yeah. Okay, because it gets me excited. I mean it. Because it's a big deal when you pass that exam. I know for many people they're very terrified to take that exam. And I know for me, my whole life is riding on this stupid pass-fail exam, and if I fail, I'm going to be a permanent failure for the rest of my life, which is not the case, but that's what goes through your head. And so when you pass it, it's a big deal, right? Let loose a little bit, have fun. So if you're here for the first time, you're going to go back into the orientation rooms. Tara, why don't you show them back there? So Ricky will show follow Ricardo. Let's give our visitors a huge round of applause. Dante, come up here real quick. I just want you to go over the licensing thing that we're doing again, so everybody can hear it. We have some new things coming down the pipe in regards to licensing that I think, little things. You know, one thing we used to do, you know, the business is funny. It's a funny business. Okay? It's a fun business. You should have a lot of fun with the business. So I went to Virginia Tech. Some of you guys know that. I'm a huge, I know some people may not like this guy, but I know T does. I love Michael Vick. I'm a big Michael Vick fan. And so one time I went to the Miami game. So we were in the Big East at the time, and we played Miami. And Miami at this time, for anybody who knows football, they basically had an NFL team. They had Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Sean Taylor, James Jackson, Jeremy Shockey. I mean, they had an NFL team on the field. And so and we were number 2, they were number 3. It was Michael Vick versus the Miami team. And so a bunch of our friends, we flew down to Miami for the weekend for the Saturday game. And they ended up, Vick was hurt, so he only played one series, and we were hoping that he would play. Maybe it was like 42-0, and they destroyed us. It was really bad. But one thing, and Miami, their team name is the Hurricanes, right? The Miami Hurricanes, and I knew we were going to get beat because right when they came out of the tunnel, all you heard was a hurricane siren. That's what they didn't come out to music. They come out to a hurricane siren. It was just like, if you've ever heard it, it's like, and like then they come out, and I was like, oh, we short. It was so. I mean, it was just like we were in the Orange Bowl, and it's just and then they have the hurricane sirens, like the red flag with the black dot in the middle, and then they run out, and then you hear it, and you just see all these guys, and we're all in the Virginia Tech section, and we're right behind the team. Everybody, including the team, the coach, is like, oh, okay. And it was just like, pound. I mean, it was like 28-0 in the first half. And they took Vic right out. They're like, oh, just take him out. The game's over. And they played 1 or 2 series, he's gone. And I love that so much. I was like, man, that was the freaking coolest thing in the world. So we don't do this anymore, but before, what we would do is when anyone would pass the test, so we have a lot of people in the office, and we'd be doing interviews and appointments or making calls, and we'd have probably 15, 20 people in the office, and if anybody passed the test, we'd put the hurricane siren going. And you hear it just go, and everybody would come out, and we give the person a high five, and the interview's like, what is going on? But our licensing exploded by something just little like that. Now we had a tutor, we had all these things. I used to bring my sister in to tutor. We put people in class, and we had a system to get people licensed. Okay, so it's funny how the small things make a big difference, right? And Michael Jordan said there's no such thing as small things, right? There's no such thing as small things. And so, we're starting something new now. We're in the process. I think we just put in place the order, right? But Dante's going to talk a little bit, just for 1 second, about some of the stuff that's going on, because there are a handful of RVPs in the office. So you're part of a team that's part of a team that's part of a bigger team in terms of the company. And so, develop some pride and get your jersey and things like that. So give it up for RVP Dante Williams.
So the purpose, as Shaq alluded to, was to make sure that we have an emphasis on getting people licensed and people to feel included and part of the team. So our goal, and it should be everybody's goal because we're playing as one team, one unit, to get a certain number of licenses. Now what's that number? 1,000, collectively, as a hierarchy. Now, to get 1,000 licenses, it's not going to happen from one person. It's going to happen from pockets of teams. So we have regional vice presidents in the office. So within the larger team of us as a hierarchy, the standard hierarchy getting to 1,000 licenses, every single RVP has a team within that hierarchy. But that's how it works. I alluded to this, I guess it was maybe a couple weeks back. The $1 million hierarchy that I'm most familiar with is John Lavin, right? So within John Lavin, he makes probably like $1.2 million a year, but within that, he has Charlemont that makes $800,000-900,000. Within that, he has Anthony Hayes that makes $300,000. Jackie makes $200,000, right? And that's what we're creating. but that only comes from having a certain amount of licenses collectively. So one of the things that we're going to implement is, as people pass the exam, they're going to get a shirt, right? On the shirt, it's going to have the regional vice president team color, which the regional vice president has chosen. And on the front, it's going to have our team hierarchy logo, which is the standard logo. And on the back, it's going to have the regional vice president team within a team, right? So is there anybody here from Top Notch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Top Notch is here. Right. What about Abundant Life? Okay. Right. So there's different teams within a team. So on the back, it's going to have the regional vice president and the colors. So if you're already licensed, we've already processed the orders, and that has been, addressed as far as getting you your shirt. So if you didn't already put it in, you're not getting a shirt. We've already gone through that. But for the people that are getting licensed going forward, they're going to get a shirt as they pass the exam, right? And then they can really feel like they made the first cut, right? See, when you make the first cut, you get a practice jersey, right? And you're on a team, and you're playing together, and you're part of us getting to 1,000 licenses, which is going to create $1 million hierarchy. It's going to create $800,000 earners, $500,000 earners, more $100,000 earners, and you just got to see where you want to fit in. All right? Awesome.
Great.
Right.
All right. So I'm from Virginia, right? I'm from Northern. I was born in Herndon. Actually, I was born in West Virginia. I moved here when I was less than 1, so I moved to Herndon. So I'm very, 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 very familiar with Northern Virginia. Okay. Anybody who lives in Northern Virginia? Okay. Who lives in Fairfax County? Loudoun County? I'm just curious. So I know, one thing, and a lot of my friends are from other places. I travel a lot. There's a little weird. People are kind of stiff in Northern Virginia. People are they're cool. They're very cool in Northern Virginia. They have no money, but they're really, really cool, right? Sometimes you go, like I lived in Florida, sometimes you travel to the West Coast. People are a little bit, there might be a little more laid back, they might be a little more entrepreneurial, right? When I lived in Florida, my next door neighbor was a barber, and that was his side hustle. My other next door neighbor was a real estate agent. The other neighbor across the street had a normal day job, and then he had a pest control business, so he did his van like a little bug, and because you're hustling, because you're not making enough money because there's no job. But here we have Booz Allen, Lockheed Martin, right? Ernst & Young, right? As if they adopted you. So one thing, sometimes, you never know, we don't do this that much because I'm probably from Northern Virginia, but we may call on your team. And you don't always have to be the most productive, but you got to at least be loud. This is when you needed Sheila. Right? Sheila, the whole thing would have been loud, right? But sometimes, right, even if you're small, you may not have that many people, you at least got to be loud. Okay? And don't give a shit about anybody else. Because, a couple of people can start an army. Let's do our top turnout. Let's see how many people are here today. So if you're below district and below, stand up. Can I press the power button? No? Yes? Should I? All right, so if you have one with you, so 2. You and one other person. 3. 4. 5. How many you got? We're getting last one. You ready? 4 more. And then at the out meeting, you said, how many you got? All right, let's give it up for time. up. I mean, the division leaders, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anybody else? All right, let's give it up for Elsa Hoffman. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 14. Give it up for Jennifer Lee. All right, RVPs, stand up. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. How many you got? Yeah. That's it. All right, we got at least 20. All right, good job, Dave. Awesome job. So a couple announcements before we split, and we're going to take the unlicensed people into the other room and have different classes and stuff. Licensing class is next Saturday. Okay, so we got to have at least 30 people in the class. That was our record. Our record was 31. I'm sorry, we had to beat 31 people. Okay, so anybody unlicensed will be in that class. Class is next Saturday. They're working on it. We're doing an unbelievable job. And second, our event is October 7th. I'm going to talk about that with the unlicensed people. Make sure you get your tickets. The event will sell out. Okay? I promise you it's going to sell out. We're running out of tickets. Ian Pruffner, $1 million earner, the second in the company that did it under a millennial. 9 years to $1 million a year. Okay? Ian is in one of his top RVPs. Will be here on October 6th and 7th. Start selling tickets. It's $10. I buy one extra, one sell. Don't give your tickets away. Okay? Why don't we give tickets away? It's a waste of money. Sell them. Okay? Sell them for the face. Okay? Some of you got 10. You got some for 20. Okay? Sell them for 10. Okay? You're not supposed to make money. But get some skin in the game, get a commitment. I just put you out there. We pay 20 for a ticket. We pay 50. We got all kind of businesses. So, book I'm reading right now, The Miracle Morning. Christian David recommended this a couple times. One day at a time. Powerless under that.
Yes.
Just have high energy, just to feel better.
Yes.
Right? I'm being like I just feel like, man, I got such big goals, such a vision, a dream, a drive that I gotta have high energy just to freaking do these things because you just need it. And one of my favorite talk about it, which talks about how you wake up every day. And you need, how you get up is how you're going to go up. That's the chapter. Okay, and it just talks about, because most people, they do what? They hit the snooze button. And I love to sleep, right? But there's a whole chapter in this book. It says, if you snooze, you lose, right? Saying that the more you hit the snooze button, the more you lose in life because you're not attacking your morning. And I haven't gotten to the real meat of the book, but I'm reading some of the chapters and I kind of peruse some of the book. But lack of urgency. I talked about this on Tuesday. Arguably the single most significant cause of mediocrity. Oof. Arguably the single most significant cause of mediocrity and unfilled potential, which prevents 95% of our society from creating and living the life they truly want, is that most people have no sense of urgency to improve themselves so they can improve their lives. Human nature is to live with a someday mindset and think life will work itself out. How's that working out for everybody? I'll just get a better job. Really? My financial problems will just go away. I'll start feeling better. Not really. This someday mindset is perpetual, and it leads to a life of procrastination, unfilled potential, and regret. You wake up one day and wonder, what the heck happened? How did my life end up like this? How did I end up like this? One of the saddest things in life is to live with regret. Knowing that you could have. Knowing that you could have, be, and do so much more. Remember this truth. Write this down. Now matters more than any other time in your life. See, I'm proud of you guys. You chose to invest this morning. You're making an investment. You're going to get this back. It's not just who you are, it's who you're becoming. It's what you're chasing, it's your goals, it's your dream, it's discipline, it's commitment, it's passion. Now matters more than any other time in your life because it's what you're doing today that is determining who you're becoming, and who you're becoming will always determine the quality and direction of your life. Let me read that one more time. Because what you are doing today, it's what you are doing today that is determining who you're becoming. And who you're becoming will always determine the quality and direction of your life. If you don't make the commitment today to start becoming the person you need to be to create the extraordinary life you really want, what makes you think tomorrow or next week or next month or next year are going to be any different? They won't. And that's why you must draw the line in the sand. You know, a lot of people think, oh, when I have a kid. Really? No, you just have a kid. And you'll be irresponsible. Oh, when I get married. No, you'll just be married and still an idiot. Right? I like New Year's. I don't know why, but I really don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I just believe in resolutions. Right? I don't think you should wait New Year's, then break your New Year's resolution. You just make, hey, today I'm going to make a decision. I'm not for all these big decisions. Just cut a couple things out. Right? Like for me, right? And it's temporary. I know I'm going to go back to it. Okay? But I want to live with a higher standard for me. Because I don't know about you, but for me, T knows, Samir knows, like, if I start going on Red Bull, I'm going like 3 a day. Like one, wake up, right before bed, and then it's a little stress, drink a Red Bull, right? So for me, right, I just want to live with a higher standard. It could be something stupid for you. Some of you guys might binge TV. And you can watch TV. I like television, but some of you guys watching 3-4 hours a day. Like even games. Like I love football, right? And I know some people won't see that. Okay. But I don't have time to watch a 4-hour game. Like 4 hours? Like you're gonna go watch the whole thing? Like with your financial situation, with your family situation, with where you are, you got time? Like some people, they're like, oh, I'm watching all day. It's like, damn, I wish I had your life. I got goals to chase. I don't have 10 hours just to freaking waste on sitting on television after I feel stupid. Like, wow, the TV talked to me and laughed at me and told me the jokes and told me how to think. I'll fast forward. I'll watch the highlights. I'll watch, the first quarter. Then I can tell if I'm going to watch it later on, right? But I'm not going to sit there. These are just things. You don't have to make big choices. You just have to cut a couple things out, man. You know, I hang out with people. We always are trying to make stuff better. Hey, what's this new diet thing that you know? Samir was telling me something the other day. What were you telling me about the third self-improvement thing that you learned? And I love hearing these things because if I can get any freaking nugget, any angle to make my life better, I'm gonna make an adjustment. Right? What were you telling me?
I said my friend is she's part of a startup, and her partners are multi-millionaires, and you know, I give her a lot of books, and so she told them that she was reading, and they go, oh yeah, but just so you know, the way that it works in success is a third of your reading should be spiritual, another third should be business, and the last third should be nutrition.
Right. And it's just like, wow, you know, that's cool. You know, and I read a little nutrition stuff because it's true. What you put in, it kind of, you know, like, you know, I know Ren likes, but you know, like, you eat fried chicken all the time, right? You know, we love fried chicken, right? If I went to my car place, right? And I walked in, and he just had it right there, Popeyes. I was like, damn! And I just drove right, like, it wasn't, my car, I just literally went right into the parking lot and drove to Popeyes. That's how, like, if I get that smell, it's just like, right? And I ate it, and I freaked, it was so good. But literally, I was in a food coma for 2.5 hours. I was like, out. I like felt the cholesterol. Like, it was so good. Like, I got a family meal for just me. You know? Family meal, 8-piece, couple sides, and fried the hell out of this. I want this thing deep fried. Right? But I got to read on this stuff because, you know, sometimes, you know, what you eat, right? And Samir was telling me that. I was like, damn, man, because the guy was like, yeah, you know, reading's really important, but a third spiritual, a third what? Business, and a third nutrition, right? Make a decision as to what you're going to start doing differently from this day forward. Not tomorrow, not next week, or next month. You've got to make a decision today that you're ready to make some changes to guarantee that you'll be able to create a life that you really want. To take your personal and professional success to the level they've never seen before. You have to be willing to commit at a level that you've never been committed before. Are you ready to make a commitment? No longer accept mediocrity for yourself. When you realize that today is the most important day of your life, when you decide that now matters more than any other time because it's who you're becoming each day, based on the decisions that you are making and the actions that you are taking, be the same as you've always been. Mediocrity has nothing to do with how you compare to other people. It's simply a result of not making the commitment to continuously learn, grow, and improve yourself. Whereas being extraordinary, which leads to extraordinary levels of success, is the result of choosing to learn, grow, and be a little bit better each day that you've been in the past. We've all experienced the pain of regret, a result of thinking and talking ourselves into being, doing, and having less. We've all experienced the pain of regret, a result of thinking and talking ourselves into being, doing, and having less than we are capable of. Mediocre days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months inevitably turn into years. And if we don't start improving who we are and what we do now, then our self-created fate will be a life of mediocrity and unfilled potential. The reality is that if we don't change now, our life won't change. If we don't get better, our life won't get better. And if we don't consistently invest time into our self-improvement, our life will not improve. Yet most of us wake up every day and stay the same. Yet most of us wake up every day and stay the same. I think you want more for your life. I know you do. If you're being completely honest with yourself, you truly want to live an extraordinary life. That doesn't necessarily mean being rich or famous. Everyone's dream is different. What it does mean is living your definition of an extraordinary life. A life where you get to call the everything you've ever wanted in life. No excuses, no regrets. Just an incredible, meaningful, exciting life. One of the saddest things in life is to get to the end and look back and regret. Robin Sharma. Anyways, thought that was a nice way to read in the morning, right? Anyways, if you're unlicensed, you can follow Thomas back into our conference room inside the office suite. Or if you've been here for, maybe a month, you have to. We still want the newer people back there, so follow Thomas. Let's give our unlicensed and new people a round of applause. Let's go, guys. Have a seat.
I'll remember that. I just want to see what it said. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. We got a great train prepared. We're going to bring Ricardo up first. What are you going over?
I'm going to go over the presentation and actually talk a little bit about the investment stuff that's in here. Talk about my fund administrator, and then there's some contact.
You know, I wanted to say something real quick with you guys. There's 2 times in your business that you should be panicked. Anybody know what they are? Write down. There's 2 times in your business when you have a business. Okay, now some of us are just starting out. Okay, but there's 2 times where you have to. The alarm has to go off. Okay. The first one is if the quality of business is moving down, meaning if you're starting to write business and you're doing something wrong on the front end with clients keeping your policies. Okay. The second is, anybody know?
Attendance.
Meeting attendance is going down. Okay. Meeting attendance is going down. Well, did you get a haircut? Job going? Damn, okay. Got a little fade. Should've gave that here to me, man. I need thick hair like that. We have RVPs in here. Our meeting attendance should not be going down. Right? I know sometimes the weather's nice. You know why the biggest franchises in the historically, like in New York, like the Yankees, or in LA, the Lakers. You know why the Lakers in basketball is such a big franchise? Because Jerry Buss, the late great owner, he had to provide so much entertainment because you're competing in California. There's beaches, like the Pacific Ocean. There's Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Venice Beach. There's just right, Jay, you can correct me, right 20 miles, 30 miles, there's skiing. There's Hollywood. There's entertainment. There's nightlife. Why would people spend hundreds of dollars to go see the game? So they had to do a much better job of recruiting, being a great GM, because they had to sell out because there's so much. Like, it's not a big deal if you're big in Cleveland, right? I mean, like, what are you gonna do? Stare at the factories? Like my wife's from Detroit. Like, of course you're a sports town because there's nothing else to do. But in New York, in LA, for the Dodgers to be big, for the Angels to be big, for the Lakers to be big, the owners are the biggest, baddest, professional sports teams in the world because they have to freaking sell out their stadiums, and there's a lot of other stuff to do. I know that sometimes it's hard and there's kids and this and that, but like, if you're on fire about your meeting and attendance and growing your team, people are going to come to watch you burn. You can't just be, and the first step is what? Never miss it. And listen, I'm not trying to be funny. I know people have stuff. Leave early then. If you got stuff, just leave early. If you got something to do, show your face. This is your business, not my business. Subconsciously, what are you telling your mind if you work harder on your job than you do here? And you show up more for somebody else and somebody else's kids, somebody else's legacy than here. Well, I'm just telling you what you're telling your mind, right? Like for me, when I quit my job, I showed up every day at my work 45 minutes early. Work started at 9, I was there at 8:15. Partly to beat traffic, but 2, I'm committed, I'm loyal, I'm determined, and no one's going to outwork me. That was my mentality. Then I quit my job, and I started coming here, and I'm sleeping until 9:30. And in the beginning, I didn't make money. Why? Because subconsciously I'm saying, I don't care about my business. I need somebody to freaking whip me into shape. I'm not a self-motivated person. I need an alarm clock. I need a bell, right? Ding, 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 right, every class. You know, look, our meetings should not be shrinking, especially on Saturdays. You know, the fact that we have 3 weekday meetings, the Saturday that we come back to is supposed to be bigger, collectively more competitive. You know, I see it. I'm not dumb. I see the numbers, right? And 3 district leaders, 3, 4 people getting beat by a new rep, district leaders, division, whatever, 5, 6 people going in the wrong direction. You got to take that personal. We have to do a better job of attendance, okay? And we have less than a month for our big event. Ian Pruckner. Make sure you go back and get tickets. Every day you should be buying a new ticket because at least you sold 1 ticket a week. Make an investment. Is Ian Pruckner ever going to come back here and talk to us? Are you ever going to have a winner's dinner on Friday night where you can qualify and spend some time? You know, I asked Bruce the other day, because Bruce is going to be coming to the event. I said, hey, can you help me work with the agenda on Ian? He goes, and Bruce really listens to Ian Pruckner, right? And he goes, hey, here's your agenda. Get out of this guy's way. He goes, he's so freaking good, so on it. Let him run the show, and you just get out of the way. That's how much respect this guy has in the company. That's how good this guy has in the company. 34-year-old $1 million earner, 34 years old. You know, on the life insurance, he has trained the entire company on life insurance. On our website, if you look at Primerica Online, term versus term, Ian Pruckner's training is the one the company goes to, and he's going to be here Friday and Saturday. And you put the right people in front of this company, 34 years old making $1 million a year, like, what? Do we need to say anything else? If they're not motivated, don't let the door hit you in the butt. Right? So, you ready? Yeah. Sure? I know you're going to smile and giggle and, you know, you got to talk to the team real quick. So you're going to make them feel good. I can make them feel bad. All right, give it up for RVP Ricardo Vargas.
I'm going to go through a couple of things for you guys to help you out, provide some value so you guys can go out there, get on more appointments, help people make money, because part of it, you know, they talk about this business is an attraction business. Part of it is, what are you thinking? What are you reading? What are you talking about to people that is attractive? And also the other part of it is, what are you earning, right? Why should I come follow you? What are you going to teach me, right? Are you confident at the kitchen table? Do you know how to destroy a policy? Do you know how to look at a statement? And that's a lot of what I learned when I first came in here. One thing too, I just want to start opening up by talking about this book. I was going to read one little sentence from this book. You know, when you go into business for yourself, a lot of us, we're not marketers, right? We're not promoters. That's not our nature. Your nature is you show up at your job, you do your job, you try to not get in any trouble, and you try to go home. True or false? Right? That's what most of our nature is. Here, you have to be somewhat braggadocious. You have to be, confident in yourself. You have to be willing to go out and talk to people. And sales, for a lot of us, we have a negative connotation with sales. And so this, again, was one of the first books I read as far as sales. It only took 4 years to read it, but it was really good once I read it. And in the first, opening part of the book, it talks about, let's talk about, the first chapter is called What the Profession of Selling Really Is, right? And the first thing he said about the first advantage and reason I love sales is it's the freedom of expression, right? Sales is one of the few professions left in which you can be yourself and can, in essence, do what you want to do, right? This freedom you've won for yourself by successfully competing where resourcefulness and perseverance are demanded and highly valued. And yesterday, this week for me has been actually a really good week because it's been a reminder week for me about getting back to the things that helped me become successful in my journey to becoming a vice president, right? And my next journey is to become the 6-figure earner and then a senior vice president where I have other 6-figure earner vice presidents. So I We all have different journeys in our business. And what it reminded me about this week was on Friday, we had a great advanced training. You know, Christian David brought some of those people, and Shaq literally, if you weren't there, did we film that? Okay. I would watch it on YouTube because some of you guys have not been around as long as maybe some of us have, or you may not have the personal relationship with Shaq. You forget what he sacrificed to build this business, right? Yeah. And what I mean by what he sacrificed, not only he put a bunch of money up, but you have to hear his troubles and tribulations, because sometimes when you think about your problems, you think and you realize what he went through, you realize that your problems are really this small, right? What I heard one time was that yourself determines how big the problem is, right? Are you bigger than the problem, or is the problem bigger than you, right? And so we started talking about how he built his business, and then the other thing I heard was on Monday at our millionaire training. I know I talked to Lisa about this. You know, there's a guy in Maryland that I look up to a lot. You know, recent vice president, about to cross over $1 million, Hispanic like me, basically my same age, right? And he's just whooping my ass using something that I used to use last year a lot. And I was thinking about those were my personal premium was the highest when I was doing this program, so I'm going to talk about that, right? So I'm just really excited about getting back to my fundamentals and remembering what got you there, right? But before I get into what I'm going to talk mostly about today is going to be an emergency contact referral program, which I think for most of you who are licensed or are willing to go out there on your own, this is going to help you stay busy. Because if all of you had 20 appointments set this week, how excited would you be? Extremely important. Because if you have any level of understanding of what you do, if you had 20 appointments, even if you screwed up 15 of them, you're going to get 5 sales, right? And whatever contract level you are, 5 sales in a week, that's a couple $1,000, right? You know, part-time, full-time, that's really good, right? But first I'm actually going to talk about the presentation. I want to go through the presentation because as far as our presentation, we've always really been talking about one product. And what product is that? Life, right? But sometimes you might run into a client that the conversation is going to be more on the investment side. And that was kind of the situation I had yesterday. And when I talked to you guys and show you how we help people, but what's in the presentation in the event that you are securities licensed and you want to talk to someone about that. Okay? So, Thomas, you can pull it out, I guess, right? You can actually go all the way to the financial house. If you don't mind. So for a lot of you who are becoming young, independent producers or young field trainers in the business, right? And what I mean by young, I just mean experience, okay? When you get to this page, now you're basically done with presenting the Primerica client advertisement. That's what I kind of call it sometimes. Right? We just talk about who we are, what we do, what's going on in the financial industry, how most financial companies aren't really helping people, right? How our F&A can educate people, Rule 72, theory decreasing responsibility. And you get to this page, you need to ask the person, hey, look, let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, now that you've seen what we do, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate your desire to want to become property protected, debt-free, and financially independent? Most of, if they're the right person, they're going to tell you, hey, I'm an 8, 9, 10. Great. Well, then this will come up separately. You say, great, well look, what we want to do is help build you a strong financial house, right? And in any structure, when it's a house for living, what's the most important part of that? And most people are going to say, hey, the foundation. Exactly. So one of the first areas we're going to start talking to you about is making sure that your foundation is taken care of. And that's usually where we go into life insurance, right? But what if you have a client that you may have more time with, okay? Or, for whatever reason, they are not in a position where the insurance is going to be something you're going to talk to them about, right? Well, in the presentation we do have, so you can actually click on retirement, it'll take you to retirement slot, okay? And I actually had a one-to-one with someone in the office yesterday, you know, pretty young in business, pretty young with his securities license, and he was just asking me about how do I kind of open up more IRAs, right? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Some of you guys have seen this before. I'm going to fly through it but just understand that we have really great leaders that have kind of paved the way. You just got to follow what they've done. Take your thinking out of it, okay? Because your thinking sometimes is going to hold you back, okay? Because you might overanalyze. Anybody ever overanalyze stuff? Okay. So this is the first slide that comes up when we start talking to people about, hey, look, this was fine, just really quick, I want to talk to you about how retirement plans work. And you start giving people a little bit of history, a little bit of information that they probably already know. But you explaining it confidently also transfers what? Confidence and competence, right? And then we start talking about a Roth IRA, which most people have heard about a Roth IRA, but they haven't really spent a lot of time investigating what is the difference between a Roth IRA and maybe what they have through work, which is most likely a 401k. Okay? That from there, you already start planting the seeds of something that they probably have heard, but now you're leading them with some of your expertise, right? On the next page, after that, then we just start talking about the differences between retirement plans, right? Between your 401k, and these are pretty up to date right now. So, 401k, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, the annual contribution limit is up to $18,000. It's a lot more, and it doesn't matter what income you have, you can contribute to it as long as you have one. But in the Roth IRA, the government really limits it more, right? And then the max you can put if you're under 50 is $5,500 a year, and this is the annual income limit. Some depends if you're an individual, sometimes it's based on joint household income, right? But Mr. and Mrs. Klein, you can generally tell which one's better for you by how much limits the government puts on it. And so then you're showing them, wow, okay. See, the Roth IRA, you can't put as much as your 401k. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Well, taxes, right? But because I guess the way I should ask the question is, where does the government get to collect more taxes? The 401k, right? Especially if you're putting way more in, when you start to take money out, guess what? They're going to take way more than your taxes, right? So you can see that because they're really limiting how much you can contribute to something that's tax-free, that's why it's better for you, and if you can, take advantage of it. And so as much as we kind of position that conversation to be about the Roth IRA, we still let people feel good about, hey, look, it's still the #1 place. You should guy who did the sign in the conference room. We've seen the new sign in the conference room in the office, right? It's pretty cool, right? And so he ended up doing that for us, and really interesting in his background. Before he became an entrepreneur, and I say parentheses just because he's pretty new at it, he used to be an executive pretty high up at Discovery Channel. He got laid off, and I said, well, how did you end up, as executive, designing signs, how do you connect the dots? Because when I got fired and let go, I said, you know what, I don't want to go work for somebody else, I want to work for myself. And so, and I've heard Samir talk about this, now a lot of people, when they're looking at business opportunities, they have a test to see what kind of franchise would be good for you, right? This guy has no experience in business, just all he knows is that he wants to be in business, fills out a test, and they say, hey, based on how you answer to your personality, you should go into sign design. Well, buys a franchise, right? It's funny about that because a lot of us who are working on recruiting, we talk to people and they just don't believe in themselves, right? The only thing that guy cared about is I believe in myself, just help me find a good business opportunity, right? And so in talking to him, he said, look, I'll tell you the true story. So I was like, hey, Shaq, look, this guy can do a sign for us. He goes, yeah, that's cool, I'm interested, but is he going to become a client? And I was like, I don't know, man, I really didn't ask. He goes, well, if you don't get an appointment from him, I'm not going to do it. So I'm like, shit. So I'm going to have to call him, all scared, right? I'm like, hey, Ian, really, nice meeting you. We'd like to do something, but, can I sit down with you and your wife? And I was all scared to get the appointment, right? But long story short, I got the appointment. And so we're sitting down with him, and he's like, look, I have some money for my old job, and I just want to know kind of what to do with it. I'll tell you some of the things that happened to him, but as far as in the presentation, you have some questions you can ask people about their business, right? One thing I asked me, has anyone ever helped you identify how much money you need exactly for retirement? your ideal retirement age? Was one of the questions I had to ask him. Find out what his goals were. How much do you think you need monthly in retirement? Do you have any assets from your previous employer? Obviously, in this case, I kind of knew that already. Okay. If for whatever reason, if you were on this page and you needed to get back somewhere, down here at the bottom, I guess mine, it's your right. So yeah, you're right. With the house, that takes you back to the financial house page if you need to backtrack. Okay. Or if you want, you can click through, and then it's going to give you two comments, right? So in this case, I knew he had previous assets, so I said, okay, well, let's talk about 401k rollover, right? So if I let the assistant Thomas, there you go, give it to Thomas, right?
Oh,
Looks like that.
wow.
So I said, well, look, here are your options for your old 401k. You know, keep it where you are. You can roll it over to a new employer. You can roll it into an IRA. Or you can take distribution, and obviously you're going to pay taxes on it, right? So just so you guys know, these are what people's options are, okay? But I started educating him on why, and he knew he had to, but I just wanted to make sure he had an idea of this, because he really didn't know what to do. But the first thing I talked to him about was, look, number one reason you don't want to keep your old 401k with your previous employers because your company's name is on your money, right? Whenever they get their statement, it's going to have your former company's name on it, their name, and then whoever the mutual fund company that's handling that 401k, those three names will be on that statement, right? But if your company's name's on it, what does that mean? I'm sorry? What did you say? Someone said something. What does that mean?
It's not yours.
Yeah, they own it, right? They have some control over it. It's just like group life insurance, right? When you get your certificate, it doesn't say Ricardo Vargas, it says whoever your employer is, they own it, right? So they have some control, some rights to that money, so it's better to free that up so you have total control. Which kind of leads into the other one. You have no control. Early on in my career when I was learning this stuff and Shaq and Cyril would come up and talk about it, I went out on an appointment and I was field training somebody and they showed me two statements from their 401k. And I was confused because both of it said the same employer. I was like, so you have two 401ks at your former job? She said, no. And I looked at the fine print. See, I'm just going to make it for months. The statement from the first quarter of that year said Prudential. The statement from the other quarter of that year said T. Rowe Price. And I looked at the first statement, at the very bottom it said, attention, this is your last statement from Prudential. Your employer has decided to change carriers. Right? My client had no idea what's going on. Okay? Third, limited options. Okay? As you get securities license, you will learn that there's about 8,000 mutual funds out there for a person to choose from. Okay? In a person's 401k, they don't put 8,000 because what do you think an employee's brain would do if they have to research 8,000 on their own? Explode, right? And so you have limited options. They put you in very limited options so you don't have to overthink. They kind of give you some information, right? But you can go out independently if you have an IRA and find a good company on your own, right? And you have better long-term growth potential with more options. And then obviously, if you were to roll it over, you get the same tax advantages, right? So that was just a simple conversation I had with him. And we have a follow-up for this Friday coming up, this week coming up, to start the process and get his paperwork built. So, but I want to talk to you about, before he met me, what happens to him. So, can you back out of the total presentation, Thomas? And towards the bottom, you'll see some slides that I added. Does anybody have any questions so far? Right? So some of the stuff we talked about, if you're not securities licensed, you want to make sure you get securities license or at least understand those concepts so you can have sometimes very general conversations with people that could open the door, right? Because especially if you're unlicensed in securities, you can just get an appointment and bring your trainer with you. Right? That's a big deal. So Shaq used to say, look, when you're young in the business, you're like a bird dog, right? You go out, flesh out the birds, I'll shoot them down. Right? And that's what I focus on. what? He was a better closer than I was. I don't care. I don't care, man. And plus, he gave me all of my sales directory.
You want the before and after?
Yeah. Cool. So this is like before and after. So when I actually looked at his statement, right, and I told Dante, I was like, man, I'm excited, but I don't want to jinx myself. I'm assuming he's probably got more than 50,000, right? Well, he had close to 400,000, right, that he wants to talk about. So I looked at his statement. He had 290,000 already in an IRA with Fidelity. However, because he wasn't working in there anymore, I looked at what he was invested in, it was just a money market, right? So he's looking at it, he's like, man, I've had zero growth on this. I gotta do something, right? Then he was telling me that he had another check just sitting on his kitchen table somewhere for 90,000. He's like, I might want to put that somewhere. Because he used to have a universal life policy that he heavily funded. Because he's got $90,000 in a surrender check, okay? Because he recently had made a change, okay? So prior to meeting with me, he went to go sit down with an advisor from SunTrust, right? From their wealth management division, okay? And he showed me some information. I didn't get to see the portfolio that they recommended, but the first thing they recommended to him was, guess what? Another universal policy. That was one of the first recommendations they gave to him. SunTrust, wealth management, right? So that's a big, right? And he didn't do that, but then the other thing that they recommended to him was, hey, look, we're going to create a portfolio of investments for you, and for me to manage it, it's going to be 1.2% a year to manage that. So in the beginning, I don't know, 300,000, I don't know what 1% of that is. It doesn't seem like much. But if the advisor's going to do his job, what's going to happen with the assets? They're going to go up. But every year you're paying that 1.2% when assets are going up. So what's happening to the advisor's commission? It's increasing every year, right? And so that's what he was facing before he met me. So after, again, knock on wood, we haven't finished everything yet, but this is what he has. This will bring him back. So he's going to have a customized portfolio, right, with American funds that's at least going to earn interest, right? And the great thing about what we have to offer was he already had an American funds account. He had 529s, right? So now he sees, okay, I know this company. You guys work with them. There's familiarity there. Right? That's a third-party close. Now, I didn't know that going in, but that's helping me now build that trust, build that relationship. And then this 90,000, because of this situation, this money cannot be rolled over into an IRA. So it's most likely you're going to have to go into an annuity, right? Now, what's the great thing about annuities? And why am I talking this to you guys? Because some of you guys are just life licensed. Guess what? It's not life insurance license. It's what? Life annuities, right? Some of you guys, this could have been your neighbor. This could have been someone you met, right? This could have been a potential interview. I know Matt flips a lot of potential interviews into appointments, right? So he's going to have an annuity product with the potential for guaranteed returns. And I talked to him, he's like, look, the great thing about this type of thing is that it can generate an income that's guaranteed for the rest of your life, which you decide to turn on. Okay? So that's kind of before and after. So part of this is I want to help you guys get motivated to get securities license. So let's talk about compensation. Okay? So on this bulk of money, the way compensation works, and I want you guys to understand this, our compensation on securities is different than life. It's a different percentage, okay? Which I'm sad about. It's right? So the way it works is this money comes in from wherever it is, goes to the mutual fund company. The mutual fund company will pay, in this example, our company, Primerica, would earn 2.5% of that. It's called a dealer allowance. Okay? Of that number, which if I remember correctly, it's about 7,000, a little north of 7,000. This is what our compensation was. So I'm a regional vice president. So on that transaction, when that money comes into the account with American funds, as a regional vice president, I would make almost $3,500. And my first job, okay, I had to work probably 3 months to earn that. Right? I was there literally for 30 minutes yesterday. The other rest of the time was just kind of talking. Time,
But that's
right? But what if you're not an RVP? Do you have any regional leaders in here who are securities licensed, right? Well, hey, as a regional, it's $3,000. Any divisions with your securities license, right? That's $2,700. If you're a rep, that's still $2,100, right? It's a huge deal, right? And you just passed your securities, right? And you know, the great thing about this that's different than life is that there's no thing called a chargeback. Right? So when the money comes in, guess what? You get paid that one time, and then you're going to have residuals on this money. Right? That's in the mutual fund. Well, what if you're not a securities license? Well, what if you met someone who had some money that they wanted to put into an annuity? Well, let's talk about that. So on the annuity, the allowance is higher. So 90,000, 5% of that, I don't remember the number, I think north of 3,000. Okay? As an RVP, that's $2,800, right? So if we do both of these things on Friday, which I think will probably be one and then eventually down the road the other, right? What's my compensation so far? $7,000 for probably 2 hours of work. Regionals, $1,900. Divisions, $1,600. Districts, $1,500. And again, we're at 30%, little 30%. That's $1,300, right? With the license you currently have. Okay? So that's, part of that's to motivate you about, look, man, getting on appointments, getting uncomfortable, because me being in the business 8 years, calling that guy was hard. It's just the truth. RVP is just a title. I was just as scared as any brand new person here, right? But when you have those appointments and you see what other people are recommending and what you recommend, that stuff re-recruits you, right? Because if you're the right person, the Crusade's got you more so than the money, right? The Crusade keeps you through the hard time, right? Because you have to have faith in what we're doing. And so I wanted to show you guys that so you can learn how to have some conversations with people, and sometimes even on a very small level as far as investments. But then also, hey, if you're securities licensed, I mean, where else can you go? I'm just curious. I love when Shaq rags on people that are corporate. I love it. Because their arrogance is, and Christian talked about it yesterday, Christian Dave talked about, how do you feel when people quit? And most people say, oh, I feel down, right? He goes, you know how I feel? I feel more encouraged. I feel more, you know what? I'm going to go prove this person that this business works, right? And when I see stuff like this, I'm like, man, thank God I didn't quit. Yeah. Thank God I'm still in the fight. Because I'm in the fight too, right? So that's a little bit about that. But now we really want to transition to, I think, what's really going to help you guys out. So we'll pull this up. So I haven't talked about this in a while, and I don't know why I got away from it, but sometimes when you've been around for a while, you think you kind of know everything, right? And my fundamentals got sloppy. And so I really want you guys to listen up to this part, if you're out on your own. And the great thing about this program is that if you're not implementing it right now, you can implement it right after this training. Like literally, this is one adjustment you can make that's going to help you have more appointments. I don't know if you're going to get more production out of it, but more appointments, if you play the numbers, you're going to get production, right? True or false? Right? So I kind of changed the name of this, because it used to be beneficiary referral, but I think it's more leverage on the emergency contact, okay? So I'm actually going to just kind of fly through this, but then I'll actually role-play the conversations I've been having with people lately, okay? So tomorrow I have one set. Last night, we actually got a money requirement outstanding with a client that was submitted in August, COD, and we got 2 emergency contacts last night, which we'll have appointments for, right? That's a huge deal. And so let's talk about this. So I heard an adjustment from Hector on Monday when he talked about it. When he talks to his clients, he says, look, I need to get 4 emergency contacts from you. And he said, I need 2 from each of you. So if you're sitting down with a husband and wife, you want to get 2 from each, right? Why? Well, they know different sets of people, right? You're most likely just going to get the names and the numbers. You're not going to get the address because usually most people don't know that. And that's fine. Okay, I know it says get the names and numbers and the address. I'll tell you how to get the address in a second. Okay? This is the most important aspect of it is you have to get the client to call, or at least make the call, right? There's a 50-50 chance, depending on what time of night, that people may not answer, and that's okay, but at least get the client to make that effort. Because they're going to have to make that effort again. If they already made it once, it's easier to what? Make it again, right? Whether you get to speak with the person on the phone that night or the very next day, right? Because all this is driven on sense of urgency, right? You have to get on the phone within 24 to 48 hours from getting the initial contact, because otherwise it gets stale, you get nervous, and you start sending that negative stuff out into the universe, and it's going to come back to you in the sense of people won't pick up and you get discouraged, which is what happened to me, right? But once you set up the appointment, you just say, hey, look, I'm going to drop this off, this report, and I'm going to talk to you about things I've done to really tighten this down. And once you get on the appointment, just kind of have a brief conversation about, hey, what's your current situation? Who's handling your insurance? If there's an opportunity to close, you close, repeat, and you may even recruit that person, okay? So, generally, when you want to implement this is when you're doing the application. Okay? If you haven't done it when you're doing an application, who's got some policies they got to deliver? You got to stop lying. If I open up all your offices, there's probably a stack. Because I know in my office there's a stack of policies that I haven't delivered either. Because stop lying. B, you have existing clients that maybe you did do a good job and actually deliver their policy and actually know what they have. Call them up if you haven't done this yet, right? But the point of it is, that, and the reason this works is actually it's true what you're doing for the client, you're actually helping them. But, so the wording I'm going to say is a little bit different, but this is just this, I'll leave it up so you guys can read and take notes. Obviously this will be on the Google slides, but what I've been telling clients is, look, obviously you made this decision to start the application process, or on delivering the policy, look, you're covered, this is awesome, okay? And that's the first step in insurance. But I want to talk to you about on the back end. Okay? God forbid you pass away, you can't call me and tell me, hey, by the way, I passed away, so call my. I'm serious, I say it just like that, okay? Because again, it's my business, my personality, and I'm trying to make a joke out of it. You can handle it the way you want it, right? Because I'm talking about something serious, and I need them to kind of loosen up a little bit, right? So you can't call me, right? And so the whole point of this is I want to talk about one of the challenges in the insurance industry is that when a person passes away, a lot of insurance companies actually know that they passed away because they look at the Social Security database. But the insurance company is not required to pay the claim just because someone passed away. They have to pay the claim to someone who reports it, right? So because you can't contact me, I want to make sure that I have on your file a copy of the emergency contact. I'm going to show you what it looks like in a second. I'm going to show you whatever, how to fill it out. And I say, so look, I need two from each of you guys, emergency contact people that I can call. And I'm going to take a certificate so that they know their role in the process. So if you pass away, again, you can't call me, but they can call me, right? And they need to know who your agent was. If I'm not around, the office number from my office, which will be around if even I'm not, or last case scenario, the company, right? So I want to offer this so that in the event you pass away, you know your wishes are going to come true. Okay? So, how do I ask? You can ask to say, listen, in the event that your spouse can get in touch with me first, right? Who would you list as emergency contact? You can say, look, if you're stuck on the side of the road, who would you trust to call in the middle of the night to come pick you up? But I've been saying things like, hey, look, who do you consider responsible enough that you would trust handling this for you? And the thing about it is, when you ask it like that, what do you think people are going to refer you to? Idiots? Or people that they think are responsible, right? So you're going to get a way better quality contact because if you phrase it properly, they're going to be like, yeah, you're right, that makes sense. I can't contact you. My wife probably will contact you, so okay, that makes sense. But what if she's kind of having issues, right? Or vice versa, or my husband's having issues, right? who can contact you fast? Okay, I'll put down Mike. Mike's really responsible, right? I put down Matt. So actually, Matt's not. Okay, great. But you can qualify to maybe live in the area, they married, they have kids, right? So look, this was the client. What I need you to do next is call this person, okay? And let them, and I would say, like, let them know, hey, I have my insurance agent here, I have my financial rep. It doesn't matter. They just have to say, I have someone here that needs to speak to you very quickly, right? And I focus on setting the appointment. And what I'll tell the client, the person I'm talking to, say, hey, look, one of the biggest challenges in the insurance industry, this is where I'll go back towards the script, is that a lot of times death claims don't get paid on time. And that's because people don't know how the process works and who to call. So your friend has listed you as emergency contact. So I just have a very simple certificate. I just want to leave with you. But I have to do it in person because I do want to just kind of explain to you how the claims process works and stuff like that. But also answer any questions that you may have about the process. Is that fair? Okay, great. What area do you live in? And that's where you get the address. Yeah? Because once I'm talking to them, I'll be able to get the address, right? And when you guys, hey, is your spouse going to be there as well just because they listed you both? Yeah? Okay. So what if whatever, you can get the presentation, you can watch this on video, or you can go to POL, right? I don't know if you guys can see this, but up here under training and development, if you click on that and click on the first option, it's going to take you, I don't know if you guys view all these resources, it's going to take you to this page. This is the training and development page, okay, on POL. If you click your mouse over mastering the product, multiple options are going to come up, right? Life insurance, securities, yes?
I wanted to know if with a single parent, would you still get two contracts?
Yes. Two. You can push them as many as you want. This is reality. But in your mind, you should have a minimum. Okay? Life, securities, debt solutions. Anybody knew this was here? Right? It's not enough hands going up. Right? You have to be resourceful. Most of you pay $25 a month for this. It's not a lot of money, but why not use it? Right? So once you click on that, it's going to take you to this. And this is the life insurance page on this has probably the most training as far as life insurance, how our products works, how to have conversations with people. So in addition to what we talk about, most of the stuff that we just steal from here, right? You know, so this is where you're coming directly to the source, right? So here, there's a beneficiary emergency contact program. And you just click there and you're going to have a video with $1 Million Earner, Charles Whitener. It's literally a 14-minute video where you can sit there, replay the entire conversation, right? And so now that you know where your actual resources are outside of me, outside of YouTube, whose fault is it if you don't use it? Whose? I just want to be fair? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna transition now. So what I do, Thomas, I gotta slide this?
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you guys what the beneficiary sheet looks like. Emergency contact, sorry. And then got to role play it. Rhonda, do you still have some of these?
The book? Oh, yeah, I have.
How much are these?
They're, no, it's $1.50.
$1.50?
For each packet, yeah. So
For real?
$3 for both.
That's good, all right? So if you invest $2, you're gonna get 50 of these, right? Think about how many appointments you can go on with $2 investment. So I'm going to show you what's word on it when you get it to work. Come on, Thomas. Yeah. what I found recently has really helped out to make sure, because in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing this, the clients were a little unsure. Okay? Unsure, whatever, you know what I'm saying. It's not good. Okay? You gotta make sure your clients, when they're applying anything, that they're on the same page as you, right? So I said, so look, this was fine. Let me show you what this looks like. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Right. So I say, look, so this is the document I'm going to send, and this is all your documents saved. Okay? Up top says, I have applied for life insurance coverage. In the event of I passed away, please contact my agent, local office, or company so that they can receive notice and start processing my claim. How important is that? Right? If you're sitting down with someone, you're talking to a client, so this is what the form says, okay? Hey, I'm entrusting you to please contact them soon after hearing of my death. I have asked my agent, right, so let's break down, this is just how I teach my class, for licensing. Let's break down the sentences. What's the first sentence telling that? Hey, I applied for life insurance. The second sentence is saying what? In the event, these are the 3 people you should contact. Third one's saying, hey, I am entrusting you, okay? I need you to do this. And the third one is, and the fourth one's giving, what's it saying? I'm asking my agent to deliver this to you. So now what's that doing? That's using the client's credibility and giving us permission to be like, hey, they want us to deliver this to you, right? So use this to really help you out. Then I'll fill out the client's information. So up top, all you're going to get is a client's first name, address, and their date of birth, right? Which you'll have that because if you're a client, you have that information. Then you're going to get the emergency contacts number, name, their address, relationship, and then in here, you're going to put in your information. And then the last thing, the most important thing is you get the client's signature, right? So when I sit down with clients, that's what I'll say to them. This is fine, so I want to talk to you about something that's very important. Obviously, you just applied or you have a cut policy through me, and I went through this. So if there already are clients, this is the way I'll say it. If there already are clients that I'm trying to go back, say, hey, last year I went to a seminar, and it was talking about how to service clients better. And one thing we learned about was that insurance companies right now are under severe investigation because they're not paying death claims in time. And we don't want that to happen to you. One of the benefits of becoming a Primerica client is that 93% of our claims we pay within 14 days. And the reason we can turn around so fast is because of this program right here, right? See, what I want to do is make sure that I have on file 2 to 4 emergency contacts, okay? These are people that you trust enough to just contact me in the event that you pass away because, Mike, when you pass away, you can't call me, right? And your wife might be able to call me. Obviously, I'll leave one with her, and they're right there, right? But what if, she's just dealing with too much? Doesn't it make sense to have someone outside that can just help out with this process? Right? So and this is what I'm going to take to them, right? And so then I'll flip it over so they can read it, and I'll say, look, can you see what it says up top? That's all we're at, right? Great. And then they'll start thinking themselves, and they'll give you the 2 or 4 people, and then you just get on the phone. And you focus on setting the appointments. Obviously, the biggest objection we're going to get is like, can you just email it to me, things like that, right? But I think when you say, hey, look, I just want to make sure I just leave the news. It's not going to take a very long time. If you don't have a lot of questions, I really can just hand it to you at court, right? But I want to make sure I can go over this because your brother, your relative, your mom, your dad, or whoever, they entrusted you enough, and I just want to make sure you understand you're part of this process, and also want to make sure you have all my information too, okay? So that's really what I've been doing. Like I said, I came back and just wanted to focus on that adjustment, and already we already have 3 new appointments in this, right? In a matter of 24 hours and stuff like that. And I think if you get 2 minimum, think about that, you could be in multiple places at one time. Okay? Now, when you get on the appointment, what you do, that's where you just have to have some good skills as far as how to talk about life insurance, right? So let me flip back to that part. We're at the HDMI.
Yeah.
Where'd that go? Oh, it's on the board. you get on the appointment, obviously you go over the certificate, and then this is really your transition into how to have a conversation. Say, look, obviously one of the things that concern your son, your relative, whatever, is that they want to make sure that they pass away, their husband or wife won't struggle financially, right? And so that they can continue to receive this paycheck. So you're kind of explaining the concept of income replacement or just insurance in general, protecting things. So look, let me ask you a question. After you explain it, like, who takes care of your life insurance? Who takes care of your income protection, right? If you were to pass away prematurely. Now that's a very direct question, but why not ask it, right? Just like, you know, Samir talked about, or people talk about prospecting, it's like, why not stop that person? Are you ever going to see them again, right? If you're in the house, you already did the heavy lifting. There's only one or two things that they're going to say. I don't have any, or yeah, I'm taking care of, right? You know, if they have no insurance and you're going to go with it, well, typically when a family doesn't have any coverage, it's because one of these following reasons. They don't think they need it, they don't think they can afford it, couldn't get around to it, right? And say, well, look, let me show you what I showed your friend and family and why they felt it was as urgent to start this income protection program. And then all you can do is just use your presentation, just go right to the dime page, right? So hey, when I sat down with their brother or sister, they had no coverage, and I talked about, look, these are the 4 areas that most families think about protecting for their family, right? It's called the dime. Let me walk you through this. And then you're getting into a conversation. It's very conversational. Does that make sense? So I know I'm going to bring up some other trainings who are going to help out, make sure we understand how to overcome some objections, the most common objections, but I just spoke before. Does anybody have any questions about this? All right? No questions? Don't have Spanish. I had to do it on my own. You can do it on your own.
Once you find out,
We can talk about
they have some type of policy, do you go into asking them what type of policy?
Hey, we've got coverage. You choose a presentation. Oh, that's great. These are 4 ways that most families protect themselves. We have group coverage. Is it cash value? Is it term? Oh, it's cash value. No. Do you mind if I share with you some information about cash value? Your relatives in the same position. Okay, great. So get into it. That's why all the presentations still there. You just don't have to explain so much stuff right there.
So basically maximize your time while you're in work.
Exactly. Right. Any other questions? All right, who can come up here and do it then?
Well, I had a question.
Okay.
When you do that, you're taking the certificate over the emergency contact. Are you sitting down with both?
Yeah, there's a couple. You say, look, I need 2 from each of you just because you guys are different circle of friends.
Oh, so you're asking for 2 as like a couple?
Yeah.
I thought you were like 2 different. Okay.
No. So if you're sitting down with husband and wife, say, I need 2 from each of you. So husband, I need 2. Wife, I need 2. Right? It's an individual single dad says, mom, hey, I just need 2. Minimum. That's kind of what you're doing. Does that make sense?
I think he's saying a couple, so like 2 people that can recommend.
Couple counts as one person.
Yeah. Yeah, they're usually going to recommend you. So they're probably going to give you one name. Right? So let's say someone says, Ricardo, and I'm not married, but let's just you qualify. Oh, that's great. How do you know him? Oh, he's my brother. That's great. So you married? Yeah, he is. Okay, sure. You move on to the last. Okay. Any other questions? Someone's going to do the whole training again. So make sure you ask questions. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so you say, hey, look, just so great. So when's a good time for me to pop by? Great. Is your spouse going to be there? Yes. If you say no, say, well, you know what? If she's not going to be there, maybe we can try to find another time that she's going to be there just because I want to make sure that both of you guys, because they listen to both of you guys. So I just want to make sure. Who's trying to deal with it? If they can't, they just maybe might have to do one-legged one, but.
So you're saying all that in front of the client?
Yeah. If you get them on the phone like last night, you're gonna get the person on the phone. But she called, right? And she left the voicemail. So the client left the voicemail, she said, my insurance person's gonna call you tomorrow, and listen to his emergency contact. So when the neighbor calls, the person gonna go, oh yes, she left me a voice message last night. Right? The neighbor's gonna get into her script, but she doesn't know if it's cool. That's how I'm trained, just figure it out. And she'll be fine. Cool. So who am I bringing up? Shaq. All right. Let's get up for NSD. $400,000 Shaq.
we got some good news here. You want to bring her up?
What?
So Meredith came from a silent partner. Indra, some of you guys know Indra. Meredith was actually a training appointment with Lisa Martin, and unqualified, but I ended up doing the appointment anyway. Meredith had insurance elsewhere, became a client, and we knew the seed about working with Primerica. She kind of shot it down because she had some personal things going on, and she texted me maybe about 3 weeks ago. About a month and a half ago, saying, you know what, my job, the boss doesn't like me, I want to try this thing part-time. So she came out, took the class, and right after class, she scheduled the exam. She took the class last week, took the test this morning, and she passed the exam.
All right, so quickly we have one thing I wanted to cover, I want these guys to cover. You know, a lot of people that work with me, or that I have a relationship with in terms of the day shop or hierarchy, and there's somebody you should do this with all the time, okay? Especially when you're new, but even when you get, you know, and I listen to all the boxers, sometimes I don't respond, but you should always have somebody that you're telling what happened on your appointment. Okay, you're not just going through the motions. If you get really good, right? Samir has a recruit Sheila on her team, and she makes $55 an hour. Okay, and they just did a $150 app, and as a district lead, so if you work 12 hours, she's an operating room, you make $600. Okay, and you do a $150 app as a district leader on that app, it'd be $900. Okay, this is a lot of money. It's a lot, a lot of money. You can go out and get in the door, do referrals, benefit, and you can go as a district leader, not in RVP. RVP money is insane. District leader, you can make $1,000 a client. Okay, and a husband and wife should be paying $75 to $100 for insurance each. Okay, if you're properly protecting them. Doesn't mean every time, because sometimes you have to see what's in their budget. But $100, if you're making $5,000 a month for coverage, is not a lot. Okay, so when you get this stuff and you get good, I'm talking like you know the playbook. You can look and you can see that defense and you know, oh, they're in zone, they're in press, they're in coverage. You know, they're going to rush forward, the blitz is coming here, and you know what to do. You know when to do the house, you know when to, destroy group, you know when to show the videos, and you can give an hour presentation, $900. As opposed to freaking slaving away at a stupid job. And on the Voxers that I get, 3 objections are coming up every time that people can't handle. And these we have to beat down. Okay? It's, I want to do research on your company. We want to talk about it, or we want to think about it. And we want to shop around. Okay? There might be a few more, but if you can freaking, those are like, all right, you're throwing me a softball, I'm going to take that right out of the park. Those 3. So I asked Matt and Shay to go over the same ones. Now, I bet they're going to go through very similar closes. And Matt, if you want to take a minute, because we ran a little over time, so you can't take too long on just how to handle an objection very quickly. Okay? But these are the 3. And all the people that send me appointments in their Voxers, we want to talk about it or we want to think about it. Okay? We want to do research on your company or we want to shop around. If you can be a 10 out of 10 on handling those 3, you're going to close 90% more sales. got to get great at it. All right? So I don't know who's going to come up first. Now you're going to come first. All right. Let's give it up for RV Financial Services.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. So I'm going to go over all these objections, pretty quickly because we are short on time now. But the simple way to overcome an objection, and Shaq wanted me to go through the format. I mean, I can't go through every detail of it, but the key words, the key thing to overcoming objections is listening to the client before you say your answer. Because when you've memorized overcoming objections, you're just ready to throw it out there. You're like, man, I know the answer. Right, Omar? I know the answer. Just finish up. And you're waiting to say something. You forget to listen to the whole second part of what a client's concern was, and you answered the wrong objection. Or you created one that didn't exist because you didn't listen. So the number one key to overcoming objections is listening to your client's concern and then questioning its importance. Because sometimes clients just ask stuff out of curiosity. Like if they're just like, hey, when does the term end? It's not an objection. They might just be curious. They don't care. It's not a buying concern. So listening and understanding when something's just a question but it's something they don't care about, or an actual objection. So best way to avoid objections is to overcome the script. Because honestly, Shaq, I never get let me think it over because I'm so aggressive on the commitments on the presentation on the front end. They can't say let me think it over if you've gotten the right commitments because they already said they're willing to implement it today and through us. So why would you even get to the let me think it over part? Like, why would you even quote them if they haven't even decided they wanted insurance through us yet? By the way, Shane Rudman in an audios said, I'm really aggressive on commitments. And then I walk it back. Like if the client's fighting me, like let's say Shaq was fighting me because he doesn't want to think it over. He's a slower mover. And I say, hey Shaq, the only reason why I'm asking is I'm going to work really hard creating a plan for you. And I just want to make sure that, this is something that you guys feel is really important for you guys to do. So I'm going to work really hard for you. But between now and the time I come back, I just want to know that this is something you're seriously considering. So I'll ask them, that's why I'm getting the firm commitment. I'm going to spend a lot of time on you, so please just tell me the truth. And then if I already know they're fighting me on the front end of let me think it over, do not quote them. Because you're not going to get the close, and you literally lost your best close by quoting them too soon because they weren't ready. They haven't even decided they wanted it. Because then you can get it all out on the front end, and you come off as less aggressive because you come off the most aggressive when you're pushing to close the sale at the time they're writing the check. You don't come off as aggressive if there's no money involved yet. You're not as pushy if there's no money involved. For all they know, it might be free, right? So, for let me think it over just in case I get it, because you occasionally get it even if you do all the right things on the front end, but you get it a lot less when you get firm commitments. The number one way I do it is I just say, hey, that's fine. Obviously, you wouldn't want to take your time thinking it over unless you were seriously interested, right, Gino? So since you're interested, may I assume that you're just going to give it very careful consideration? Of course. It's really important. That's what the client will say. Of course. That's why we're thinking about it. And you're not just telling me this just to get rid of me, right? And most of the time, of course not. You did a great job. And by the way, if you're treating the client pleasantly the whole time and you're likable during the appointment, they won't say that. Just to clarify my thinking though, Gino, what is it that you wanted to think about? Is it the integrity of the company? Because let me think it over is actually not an objection, they're hiding the real one. That's the number one thing about let me think it over. They're hiding what they're really thinking about. You're just trying to figure out what it is. Because who here has thought about anything when they're about to buy something? Let me sleep on it. You ain't thinking. You're avoiding it. So we need to figure out what it is. And usually they'll say no. Hey, is it my personal integrity? Is it the coverage? Is it the length of the term? Is it the money? And what is it 99.9% of the time anyway when you get the money? The money. And what's great about that, if you isolate the money and they've already picked the higher option, you could just say, well, you know, hey, I noticed that you picked the option that was $100 a month. That wasn't the most affordable plan. Even though I know you want to fully protect your family, Giovanna, I would much rather start small and then just work our way up. Because even though common logic says, you know, we can just reduce it if it's too much, the truth is you're more likely to cancel it altogether. So why don't we just start small? Is that fair? Now you get the check. Who do you want your beneficiaries to be? Because usually, think about it as the money and they just don't want to say the money. I want to do some research. Of course, it's important to me that you understand the track record of the company you would be trusting to protect your family. So what are the most important qualities you look for in a company that you want to research about? Is it the customer reviews? Is it the financial strength? Competitiveness? I can help you get access to all that information because I want to make sure you're making a great decision. Because we did agree that you did need the coverage, didn't we? Because we still don't know if you can qualify for coverage yet, though. Let's order your medicals, and if you research something that concerns you during the process, I will answer those questions. You would also be conditionally covered. So during that time, if something were to happen during the application process, your family would still be protected. Wouldn't it make more sense to do that research while being protected? Then, who would you want your beneficiary to be? Okay, so we want to shop around. I understand, of course, you want to get the best value for your dollar, right? So let me explain to you again how the process works. You know, first we have to do an application anyway to get your health rating, because we still don't know that yet. I mean, even though you look totally healthy, you haven't had any medical concerns, you know, that have happened in the future. I've had clients that are in perfect shape just get a standard rating, and clients that I didn't think would get a great rating get the highest rating possible. There is no way to know just from a quote. And who here has done an application on somebody who is skinny, in great shape, you think they're perfect, and then they get rated? Not even standard, like rated. So, we don't know. So, I'll explain that to them. And when you simply look at quotes online, you'll almost always get the best case scenario quote, and it goes up from there. I even have no problem showing them that. I'll go to quickquote.com and put in like that they're fat, and it will still show Preferred Plus as the #1 option. Who here has played with that and seen that? Like 5'8", 220 pounds, Preferred Plus. Are they Preferred Plus? But they'll quote them Preferred Plus online just so you apply, and companies don't share medical information, so now when you're upset that you got a standard health rating and you're paying just as much you would have with us, you just take it because you don't want to go through the medical process again. And I'll just tell clients that's what companies do, because now they've locked you in with the best case scenario, and now you don't want to go through the process again. And what I showed you purposefully was the worst case scenario. Even people that I think will be Preferred Plus, I still quote standard 99.9% of the time. Who in here honestly thinks it's a good idea to quote somebody as preferred? Good. It is never a good idea to do that, even if they're preferred, because wouldn't you love it if I quote Luis and I say, hey, it's $100 a month, but then I come back 2 weeks later and say, hey, Luis, great news, it's $60.
they'll definitely keep it.
Yeah.
So, most companies use the same mortality chart, so if you find something that's $20 difference or more, you are not comparing the same product. As long as we're in the medical process, you are conditionally covered, so wouldn't it make more sense to research all these numbers and to shop around, knowing that your family's properly protected if something were to happen? And then you just ask. And the best way to overcome this objection is know that nobody has Primerica's term. We are the only insurance company that lets somebody convert from term to a brand new term without proving they're healthy. Just a quick example. I sat down with a client, had a 20-year term, way cheaper than ours. His premium was going to go from $580 a year for $1 million policy. And year 21, it was $14,000 a year. So we're not going to compete on price, but that product's also a ticking time bomb. And I just asked them, hey, can you tell me without a shadow of a doubt, you won't need life insurance at year 21? Well, we have a problem then. And our 30-year term after custom exchange, the renewal was like $3,000 a year instead of $14,000 after a 30-year term. So over time, Primerica life insurance is always the cheapest because buy term invest the difference works. But with how low people's savings rate is, 20-year terms are always too short because I just asked the client, hey, are you saving 20% of your income? Then 20 years is too short because there's no way you're going to have $1 million in 20 years. So, those are the three, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm bringing up Shay.
Yeah.
All right, so give it up for Shay.
After the Monday millionaire meeting, I had a quick conversation with Lynette Garris, and we were talking about the black market and how different it is. And she was telling me that she said, you know, UNT really needs to plug into the ALC because the market is different. So when you say, when people in the African American community say we want to think about it, it's totally different. How many of you guys know that? That was me and T. We just didn't want to do it. We were being irresponsible. Right? Donald had taken me to an appointment this week, and the client, he said he wanted to think about it. So we went through the presentation. He was a single father, 3 kids, no insurance, no group insurance, no anything. So we went to the compound interest, right? We did that. How much did you spend? And he said on cigarettes, $45 to $50 a week. On cigarettes. So Donald, you know, is nudging me. I'm like, yeah, I got this. Don't worry about it. I got it. Because he was giving us a little, you know, little nudge. And so we get to the end of it, and we go through the closing. We get the commitment. He said, I want to think about it. So by this time, I already know that he knows what's getting ready to go down. So I'm like, what is it that you want to think about? Is it the cost? He said yes. I said, well, John, you just said you spend $43 a week on cigarettes. It's like that. And you can tell, like, everything just dropped. He like, shoot, she got it. So sometimes people do say that because they want to be irresponsible. And you got to call them out nicely. You got to remind them that you're already blowing money. You're blowing it down, Sean. You got 3 little girls, three little girls. And you're smoking income protection away every single week. Right? So when this committee comes up, there should be some kind of concern about costs, offer a lower quote, maybe shorten the term, ask if this realistically fits into their budget. I asked him that. I said, so basically, you've allowed cigarettes to fit into your budget. Now he's upset. But we here, either you're going to do it or you're not. I'm going to make you uncomfortable. I'm going to get you to understand in a nice way that you need to protect your little girl. You got to protect your income for your girls. You're a single dad. You don't have any insurance. Who's going to take care of your girls? You have no family here, right? Obviously, you would not take the time to think about it, though. Blah, 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 blah. What points do you need to consider? So I asked him, I said, would you be willing, right, to cut back the cost on cigarettes every week? Because now you're young, you're smoking 2-3 packs a week. So now let's get to the nitty-gritty on what's going on here. And he said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. So now I'm like, okay, we're not getting the application. Now, we got to really go in, get him to understand. Right. So sometimes it's just people want to be freaking irresponsible. That's just what it is. And we run into a lot of that in our community. Anybody run into that in your community? We run into it, right? So do you feel this is the right plan for you and your family? We asked them that. Do you mind letting me know exactly what it is that you are concerned about? Let me see if I can help you since I'm here. Is it the cost? Maybe the amount of coverage we are offering you. Maybe you feel you have reliable coverage for your employer or something. He had no coverage at all. So it's like in a marriage. Me and T always talk about this. How many of you guys are married? And you listen to respond. I don't listen to listen. I'm listening because I'm about to tear you up. I'm serious. I used to be like that at the KT. I'm listening, but I'm listening to respond because we about to argue. I had to check myself even at the KT. It's listen to understand. Find the concerns. It's no longer just to respond at the KT. I've heard Sean out. You told me everything you're doing. You didn't even know what you get ready to set up for, right? Cigarettes, going out, drinking, just totally all irresponsible. So, what are the concerns? So I'm telling him, because I've already listened to respond. I mean, listen to understand. A little bit of response to it. I want to shop around. That makes sense. How long would it take you to do that? Would 2 to 3 weeks be enough? Wait for answer. And if after this part right here, guys, I did this week. We had a couple that I sat down with married, and they only had group insurance. They said they want to think about it. I always go to the COD route. Yeah. Because sometimes when they say they want to shop around or even think about it, do they answer the phone call when you call them back? Yeah. Sometimes they don't. So I took a COD, and I've already reached out to the client. Right? So for me, that's the major go-to because for this couple, it was still a cost thing. Right? He had 3 times his coverage, paying $8 a month, and the wife didn't have anything. Right? So, great, because our policies usually take 3 to 4 weeks to get you qualified anyway, so that, I don't have no last time. So that what we'll do is get the paperwork started to begin the underwriting process. That gives you plenty of time to stop around.
Where's your glass?
First thing to go is the eyes. You said yeah. Spice the only
You put it in the smallest font possible.
Yeah.
Make it big.
The cheapest car, the best car, or the best value. Is the cheapest home, the best home, or the best value? Is the cheapest restaurant, the best restaurant, or the best value? No, in fact, it's supposed to be fact. Wouldn't you agree that in most situations, cheapest is not always the best? Generally, when we sit down with people and they say this, you find something in the home. I always do that. If the house is nice, they don't want to pay for it. They just don't want to pay for it. Why we are the best? Increasing benefit rider, accelerated death benefit, one policy for the entire family, complimentary FNA. This is big. I've been running into this a lot. But there's a policy on everyone in the family. You know, the husband, the wife, the kid, and the kid. So there's an annual fee for each one. This is really, really big. Increasing benefit rider. This is what we're using a lot of right now. Right? So we can go more term now opposed to a higher amount just to get the clients qualified faster. I need to do some research. T just pointed this out to me today. I was going to have him go through this, but we don't have time. But the Primerica facts brochure is really big. Because a lot of the time, people go through Google and they pull up Primerica and they look for the negative. Right. Have you guys put in Primerica in Google before? Like recently? nothing bad comes up. You have to literally go search negative Primerica, Primerica scam. Everything good comes up. So I guide them with the Primerica facts brochure, and I give them links what to look up. And I also tell them, look up God, look up LeBron James, look up Nike, look up Microsoft, look up anything. You're going to find something negative. We have over 120,000 licensed representatives. You think there's a bad agent in there? Absolutely. Right? So, but the Primerica facts brochure is really, really big. You guys use that? Leave behind? Anybody? Leave links? Use links? Y'all dead this morning.
I do.
All right. That's all I got, Shaq.
Great job, Shane.